Welcome back to the Baseball Blue Book Podcast, where we focus on the journey, not the destination. Brought to you by the Baseball Blue Book app. Are you in the book? And now, your host, Eric Wobanaw. All right, welcome back, the Baseball Blue Book Podcast. Excited to have Smoke Stover with us, head coach of Lock Haven University. Coach, how are you today?
Doing well, Eric. How are you
Man,
doing?
this is it's been a good day. Lots of great episodes that we're doing here, and really excited to talk to you. Heard a lot of great things about you from a couple of other coaches, and just excited to hear the journey. That's what we're talking about here, is the journey, baseball journey, into coaching. So I'm hoping to catch kind of the beginning as a player, and you going through the same process that you put the kids through today, and then kind of what you're doing today. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself a bit, and we'll get going.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm fortunate. When you do coaching at this level, or at the NCAA Division II level, you get a lot of hours in it and everything. And I'm fortunate to be here as the head coach at Lock Haven University, and to be able to do something that I love. The journey to this place, it was long. It was fun. A lot of hard work. But I started out at Jersey Shore High School. I'm relatively pretty much a native of the area here. You got Williamsport, home of the Little League World Series, that is the town over from mine. And of course, Little League has always, and baseball has always been a part of my life. Played baseball and football in high school. I excelled at both of them. I was very fortunate to have a decent skill set, coming through in the late 80s, early 90s through high school. And then I knew at that point that I wanted to be a coach at some level. It didn't matter, but wanted to be a coach, whether it be, possibly maybe football or baseball. And in choosing those schools, I knew I wanted to be also, maybe it could be in a high school, it could be in a high school setting. So I love sports. And I chose the schools that has a really good health and physical education program. And again, it just happened to be right here in my backyard. I visited other schools also, but the Lock Haven was right here. I had the opportunity, believe it or not, to play football in college and also baseball.
Okay.
I was fortunate again to get a football scholarship. There wasn't a whole lot of money, in the early 90s for baseball back in those days. It was more football oriented, and I was able to get some money. So my first year, the football coaches, they wanted me to play football. They're giving me my scholarship. So that first year, I played spring football too, and didn't get an opportunity to play baseball my freshman year. And I missed it. When you smell the grass, the freshly cut grass,
Yeah. Yep.
there's just that ambience about baseball, being on a baseball field. So that next year I told the football coaches, I said, listen, I love football. I truly do. But I also want to play baseball. I feel that I can excel and help our program here at Lock Haven, help them win games. So yes, I had that the long talk with our football coaches. Of course, they wanted me to do spring football and stuff, but they let me go. They let me do it. So like in mid-January, I'll be back with baseball, and I played baseball for 4 years here. Then also into my fifth year, I was here because I took a couple minors along with that to play my fifth year of just baseball. I had a fall season and a spring season, but those fall seasons have changed a little bit too.
Yeah. Yep.
It was more or less more inter squads, a lot of inter squads, and now it's more geared towards a little bit of lifting. Our typical day here is like a 6 a.m. lift, an individual throughout the day, and then early work at 3, and then 4 to 6 is team. So that's changed a little bit. But then after college, believe it or not, back in, don't want to sound like I'm too old, but back in those days, it was a landline. I had to do my interviews over a landline phone, with different programs, whether it be football or baseball. I was working the Little League World Series summer camps, and I was getting ready to I finally got an interview with Western Iowa Community College.
Oh,
I was going to go
okay.
there, and I was going to mow grass or whatever I had to do to get into coaching, you know. And I had a flight, believe it or not, into Omaha. That was the closest airport. I had a flight into there, and that's where I was going to go. And I was leaving the next day. I was here on campus since it's relatively close to Williamsport too. Kind of packing my stuff up here in town in my apartment, getting ready to go. And one of the admissions counselors came to me and they were like, "Hey, we just lost a young guy in our admissions. We need a young guy that knows the university, knows the school, and can represent our school well. Would you mind, Jim Reeser at the time? Um, could you go meet with Jim Reeser, which was our director?" And I'm like, absolutely. I love Lock Haven. I would love to stay here if I had the opportunity. Went into admissions and talked with him, and he was great. He made it just like it was a normal conversation with the interview. Um, and he said, "Man, I really like you, Smoke." He goes, "I like you a lot." He goes, "I think you'd be a great addition." He goes, "Would you want the job?" And I'm like, absolutely, you know. So now the tough part is now I had to call a coach at Iowa Western, you know, and let him know that I wasn't coming, you know. And I wanted to talk to him, but unfortunately, I just got his voicemail. I left the message, of course, and everything. And then I've been here ever since for 26
And
years.
you,
So I would help out with the baseball program in the spring, would be on the road from Sunday to Friday with admissions, working, you know, getting high school visits during the day, and then a college
that's
fair at
great. That's
nighttime.
great.
Um, and then in the spring, they would release me to coach baseball in the spring,
Okay.
and then turn around again about mid-May, I would say June, and then work with baseball again, being on the road with baseball, and then coming back about mid-August to admissions and doing that whole process again. I did that for like 8 years. Yeah, did that for about eight
Wow.
years.
Wow.
And then they decided to you know, invest a little bit into the baseball program here, and I became a full-time assistant for another like 8 years, 9 years. I worked for my father, Paul Smokey Stover, here for approximately like 18 years. And so I was fortunate to work under him and learned a lot of stuff from him. Um, and then for 4 years, I worked with 3.5, 4 years. I worked with Jim Chester, which is the head coach at Gardner Webb. I worked with him here. He was my boss for 4 years, and we had a great relationship. We got a lot done, worked hard, and got after it. And then, you know, and then here I am, you know, as the head guy. I've been the head guy the last 3.5, 4 years
Okay.
now. And I've been here ever since. I love Lock Haven. I love the Bald Eagles. And I'm just fortunate, honestly, to be able to do what I'm doing today. Yeah, I come into work every day. You know, it doesn't feel like work. You
That's
know,
great.
it's just certain things you have to do to try to be successful. Yeah.
Definitely, you're definitely probably a part of the community. It sounds like you've been there your entire life. You know, worked under a lot of different people. What when you do that? Obviously, you have some things that you want to do that make it uniquely yours. So, if you could talk about some things that you obviously carried forward, but other things that you might have brought to the program that are specifically yours and what you've done for the program.
Yeah, I think a lot with different leadership methods, maybe, and bringing in the coaches that I've worked for. You know, we're baseball coaches, right? So we take and we steal a little bit of everything, you know, and the things that you learn.
Yeah.
And I just think that I've molded a lot of different things into what I'm doing here, and that's unique. It's really not really that unique. It's just that there are different things that we've done. I mean, we have a leadership council here, which is, I think, is always good. We have our guys. It's basically like our team captains, except it's expanded. Most teams, you know, maybe have one or two team
Mm-hmm.
captains. We call it a leadership council, you know, where we have, you know, 5 or 6 guys. I try to get one guy from each position, and they represent their position. If one of their teammates, you know, have something that they want to bring to the table, or maybe they don't want to approach me, even though I'm approachable, my door's always open. But like, if there's just something that
Right.
they don't want to share with me, they want their team leader to do that. Like, we do that. We bring it up at leadership council. Um, So that's in itself has helped me out tremendously. Like being able to we all go through situations, right? Like every year there's
Yep.
like three crises that happen in every program. It doesn't matter whether it's big or
Right.
small.
Right.
They've helped. That's helped a ton. I have great team leadership this year. We have some seniors, that are also health and physical education guys. The majority of them are. So they're going to go out and be teachers and coaches someday too. But that's kind of maybe not even really that unique, but it's one of the things that we kind of that I cherish here as a
Yeah.
coach, and that helps me out. That would help any coach out. If you have that backing of really good leadership
I
behind the
think
team.
no, that's a really good idea. You're absolutely right. A lot of people do have team captains, but putting together a leadership board, it really disseminates kind of your message as well. One of the things that captains do are they really have to buy into what you're trying to do with the program, and you've kind of expanded that out, and the message I'm sure gets out a lot better. And sometimes it's easier to talk to somebody your age and one of your colleagues versus a coach. Even open
Sure.
door policies, right? There's just something about it at times, and having an opportunity to do that, I think, is really good. So expand a little bit about we talked about this prior to getting on, but it was bringing character, balancing the character with wins. What if someone was to say, Lock Haven University baseball program is this? What would that be for you? How would you define who you guys are?
Yeah, I think that our definition is to do what's right and do the best we can, and trying to treat other people how you want to be treated. They're the things that we kind of build our character on, based. I know the three simple things, but it's the things that I think if you can do that, you can do well in life in general with that. But I would say that they would think that we're blue collar. We're coming to work every day. We're going to get
Yeah,
after it. That's one of the things I think we really can bring to the table. Um, Even if we're in a tight game, I mean, last year it was unfortunate. Like we've lost like 7, 8 one-run ball games. Could have went either way, but that you're in a fight with us. That we're not just going to give in at any time. And I think that's the big thing is we're going to treat it, respect other teams, but you're going to know that you're in a battle with us when you're going to be playing us, and just to respect the other teams and understand that. We're in a conference too with the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference that I believe maybe I'm a little biased, but I think it's one of the toughest Division II baseball programs or baseball conferences in the country. It truly is. I mean, we're fortunate we've sent a team to the World Series, the last 19 years.
wow.
So it's one in which it's been tough for the last couple of years. It gets the fifth and sixth year, so it's every year it seems like these guys are maturing more, and you're like, man, when is that guy going to leave? So it's really good baseball, but I think it's one in which you would respect us too, because that every team top to bottom in our league, it's going to be a battle. Anybody can beat anybody at any time.
That's
So
great. Yeah.
I just think that they would think we're going to be blue collar coming in with the lunch pail, and getting
I
after
like
it.
that. I like that blue collar, just coming to work, get your job done, and have a
Yep.
good time. So, over your career, what are some of the things that you've seen that are the biggest differences and that have created some challenges, just from a coaching perspective that you might have to deal with that may not be the same as what it was before?
Sure. I think back, even early '90s, honestly, even early '90s, even within our conference. I mean, I think that we're fortunate too to be in to Pennsylvania. It's a pretty decent state, whether it be football, wrestling, of course, absolutely. Football, baseball, basketball. It's a really good sports state,
Yep.
And back in the early '90s. Even prior to that, like you would go to a school just to go to a school, you would go there to get your education. There wasn't as much scholarship. Football a little different, like I explained earlier. Today, like Division I has 85 full rides. Well, unfortunately, in baseball, it's the Division I level 11.7. So it's we still don't have a ton for baseball. But then you did wasn't a lot of recruiting as there is today too. Again, you went to the school
Yep.
to get an education and then play baseball. Now it's geared more towards baseball. And I think it's really like what each institution is really going to invest in baseball. I think the coaches really work hard in baseball at our level and in our conference, to get the things that we need to be successful. But it's a lot on our end, you know what I mean? And it's across the board. It's not one institution or another, but um, we run extra camps. You know what I mean? We do tournaments. We do all the extra things that we need to help fund our program. Because we do travel a lot. We play a 50-game schedule in the spring, and of course we're in the north, so it's a challenge to say the least that we're inside at least early in our season. In order to play, we got to go down south, so that's another expense, and I think universities are willing to help out with some of the travel, but it's hard to be able to fund it all from the institution.
Right.
So we have to raise extra money. So there's always a challenge in that. I've just a little bit of fundraising, coaching, and now it's gotten so competitive with the recruiting process. I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, it started to really ramp up on, getting this young talent, and get them to your institution. So therefore, scholarships started to become available, whether the program is fundraising for them or the institution is going to give them. And now it's evolved into a big thing. I can't go anywhere where, like, you think that the kid's going to get lost in the shuffle, and like everywhere you go, there's another coach there. You know what I mean? To see this kid, he's in the middle of mountains, in the foot mountains of Central PA, and you wouldn't think they would ever see him, but they know. Everybody knows. So with technology and communication and everything, you can't hide anybody today.
Yeah.
But it's gotten really competitive from that level, from the recruiting level, and the funding level. You know what I mean? Some have upped the ante on some of that, on some of those things. Now you're looking at facilities. Now it's like an arms race with facilities. Who has the best facility? Might not have a lot of scholarship money, but you have a really nice facility, and you can tell the young men coming in to, like, hey, do you want to play at this place? We have a locker room, we have a turf field, and all those things. Like that's the things that you really now you're trying to compete with. So it does you do have a challenge with that. So. But overall, at the end of the day, you just try to do the best you can and work hard and know that you've done everything that you possibly could to get a young man. I recruit on the basis of them wanting to be at Lock Haven. First and foremost, I mean, you got to look from the academic perspective. I mean, do we have your major? And that's what you kind of asked these recruits coming in. Do we have your major? And in other colleges and other maybe coaches or travel coaches, they always say, hey, that place is going to be a good fit for you. And they use that term loosely, fit, and I always ask, well, the definition of fit could be a lot of different things, and I try to use the term, do they first and foremost have your, academics, is it a place that you want to be at, scenery wise? Like, do you want city? Do you want country? You know what I mean? Do you want small college town? Lock Haven, we're more small college town. Do they have what you want program wise? Are you going to get an opportunity to play there? Not right away, but maybe as a sophomore, or at the end of your sophomore year, early junior year, you're going to have the opportunity. I look at those three things, academics, location, and opportunity. I look at those three things, and that's my fit. That's my definition of fit for a young man wanting to go to a school someday.
That sounds like,
and to be honest with you,
no, I was going to say that sounds a really good formula. I mean, you got to make sure these kids are going to be there for 18 of the other hours. They're going to be on that campus, and they're going to be there year round in most cases. They better like the food. They better like the dorms. They better like the atmosphere and the people that are on campus. Baseball may be great, but I think that's why the portal's full of 4,000 kids. They haven't thought through their decisions very, very well.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's like in any business, it's supply and demand. Right now the supply is really high, and coaches are being more selective on what, who they're choosing and how they're choosing them, So
well, it didn't hurt. It didn't help that have a full year of additional kids. There's a whole another year that these young guys they're now competing with. So it does make it challenging. Sure. You guys are definitely. When supply is high, people think that that's a good thing, and that it sometimes makes it even more difficult.
It does. It makes it difficult on a lot of ends. these maybe a 23 or 24, let's say 24 high school graduate, they're oh no, it'll be fine, but it's not. It's a 5-year process, because you got to
Yep.
understand, like, when it happened and they 2020, when they all got an additional year, like, you're looking 5 years from then,
Yep. Yep.
and that's, you're looking at 26, is probably 25, 26. Some redshirted too, so some are granted a 6 year too. It's crazy. Some, you know what I mean. Some redshirted that year, so they're getting another year additionally on top of it. So it does get difficult at times, and it gets difficult from the standpoint of now, you're trying to recruit grad transfers.
Right.
Do we have your graduate program? And maybe another school, one of our rival schools, does has that program, and we don't. So then that. So there's a whole lot. There's a lot to it. There's definitely a lot to that whole process.
That's crazy, and just that I don't think they put that in the head coach job description, right?
They don't. No, not at all. No, no. The 90 hours of work week. You know what I mean?
Have I even done anything baseball related?
Yeah, I know, right? That's whatever. I tell people that too. Like everybody wants to be a coach, and it's great, and it is fun, and all those things, and I appreciate it. Every day I wake up, I'm thankful. Yep. But you don't realize, especially with, everybody's got a phone today and stuff, and the communication. I mean, it could be 10, 11 o'clock at night, you're getting a text, and it might be a big recruit. And so, like, what am I going to do? Am I not going to text them? No, if I'm up and I see it, I'll definitely text them. And then, we're up at 6 a.m., lifting and running and doing all the things that we do. So it's a long day, but it's believe me, it's well worth it. It's truly fun.
Well, and I think one of the things, the theme that goes around, and I know this isn't just baseball, but I think it tends to lend itself more with baseball, and there's just so many reasons why, but it's why you need a family, right? You need the family feel, because you're going to be around these guys. There's got to be a camaraderie. There's got to be a unique bond that keeps you guys together because of what you guys are going through. I mean, there are so many things. When kind of a transition to another question is, what do you find as a coach? And this could be wins, losses. It could be a certain player, whatever it might be. But your biggest success in your coaching career, and your biggest, I hate to say failure, because nothing's failure, because if you can get out of it, that's a win. But the biggest success, and then also probably the biggest challenge that you've had to go through.
Sure. Biggest success, like you said, yes, we've been in championship games, in the PSAC, and they're always fun. And I just think when you see every day and the successes that you see through the young men that you're coaching, when they get here, I think, to graduation, that is the biggest success for me, when I see them grow into young men. When we get them out of high school, I'm going to be honest with you, and today probably a little more than maybe in the past, but they're like boys coming in, and you get to shape, not so much shape their mind, but just shape how they carry themselves, or how they act and what they do, and see their bodies develop. Like I said, we do strength conditioning more than we ever have, speed, agility, and you see them go from not so much a sluggish, but just an average player to an all-conference player to an all-region player.
Wow.
Like, I've seen that happen, that maybe somebody else, maybe just they didn't want, but that person's intestinal fortitude was greater, and that's a piece where you can't measure a heart. They came in undersized, they came in unathletic, and they became an all-region player. It's crazy, awesome. But you wouldn't think that would happen. But I think that's one of the bigger successes that I've seen when we have young men do those things. It's awesome.
No,
and it makes your coaching worthwhile. You know what I mean? Because honestly, the coaching part of it, sometimes it's more organization and fundraising, a lot of stuff. And you only get to do the coaching stuff maybe 15, 20% of your time, and when you're doing it with them, you're seeing young men develop into good citizens and good people, and turning out to be doctors and dentists and lawyers. Like, it's a good feeling, and it keeps you going too, when you do have the challenges or the setbacks, and on the flip side of that, you would say, like, what are some of the things? There's when young men don't make the right decisions, and today, like, everything is on social medias and stuff like that. And when when they do something wrong from that perspective where the world can see it, that's the misfortunate part of it, and that it's weird, but they say, well, you didn't do anything as a coach. And I get that you don't do anything as a coach, but you're very disappointed in the way that they maybe handled themselves, and that it's out there because we always tell our young men that you don't just represent yourself. It's not just about
Right.
you. You're no longer an
Yep.
individual. You're part of a
Yep.
team, or like you said, that family, you're part of that family. And if one of us does wrong and doesn't do the right thing, we're all labeled then as a whole program, and that's what you try to get through your young men is that's what happens is that, we're all now walking across campus. Believe me, people know who you are. Like, and I don't even realize that. We don't realize that, that people know who we are. And I'm walking across campus and a young lady goes, "Hi coach, how are you doing?" Like, and I'm just like, I never, you know what I mean? I didn't know that people really realize that,
But they
so
do.
everybody knows who we are. So we represent each
Yep.
other.
Yep.
And kind of the pitfall, the downfall of it is that if we don't do the right thing too as a program, that's a challenge. That's the challenging part. And sometimes you just have young men that make the wrong decisions. And it's misfortunate. It's misfortunate for all of us because we all kind of get labeled in that perspective. But when you see those men also do right and doing well for themselves, that's a big part of it that really that I appreciate. That's away from the wins and losses. Of course, we want to win. Of course, we're competitive. Every day in practice, we make it competitive with maybe a machine scrimmage or infield scrimmage or a bunt scrimmage, something. You know what I mean? To make it
Yeah.
competitive, and we put it on the scoreboard and everything to.
That's awesome.
And they're competing, believe me, because they're competing
great.
100%. They want to beat each other, which but that's the fun
It's
part.
it's being a coach, it's really interesting because there's so many things of the balancing, and you even alluded to it, right? 15 to 20% of the time you're actually coaching. It's all the other stuff that's going on. So you got to have a system that's in place to support these guys that are going through a major change in their life. I don't think people understand that going to college is big enough. Because you're kind of out of the nest and you got to make some decisions, but you also you're representing yourself, trying to figure it out yourself. And when you're part of a team, and it's really the collegiate athlete across the board, right? It's you're coming in to something that is beyond you, it's above you, and you're representing something else. And as a coach, what are a couple of things that you do that really help that whole thing out? How does if I'm a freshman and I come in, I don't know what I'm doing, right? I'm trying to figure this out.
Right.
And so what are some, the couple pieces of advice that you give these guys that come in that you find that are really helpful to them?
Yeah. First and foremost, you don't have to be a gym rat, but you have to have a work ethic. Okay. You have to have a work ethic. And what we do for them is we try to keep them as busy as possible. You know what I mean?
That's good.
We're with them all the time. If they do have a problem, like I hear about it or I know about it, but from day one, when they come in, we have our team meeting, the Sunday before classes, when they come in, we're not quite there yet with like maybe some D1 programs. They'll have them take second sessions, summer and go, like, we're not quite there yet, but we'll come in and I'll make sure, when they get here, to make sure that everything's okay. And the move-in part, like you said, everything's new and everything's fast for them. It's like, if you were in a new job, everything would be quick. But once you did it for 20 years, you know what I mean? It slows down a little bit and you're able to, get the things done that you need to get done. So, but just being with them right away, I think, understanding too, when we're recruiting the individual, that they have to have a really good work ethic because it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. With being at Division II level, like we spend a lot of hours with the guys, but like I said, a day is a 6 a.m. lift, we're with them there. Then we have an individual throughout the day, and then you have early work, and then you have teams 4 to 6. They go eat, shower, and then we have a study hall, and then get up the next day and do it again, so it does, it becomes difficult, but we're with them every day. We're with them every day. We're their support system, with leadership. We already talked about leadership, counsel, and all those things. We're there for them if they need something. Honestly, I think it's when you're part of a team like that too. I think it's I don't want to say it's easier, but in a sense, it would be than if you were just a normal student, when you might not have that support system that's here for you. You learn to have friends right away. Learn if you don't have a car, you have friends that maybe are able to take
Yep.
you, somewhere and do things and hang out with them. And we always tell there are older guys too with our leadership council that, you're a mentor to these younger guys. They're the ones that set our culture, honestly, like how they present themselves and how they talk and speak positively and be around others and how they carry themselves. Like that's a reflection of, our, our program and how they, present themselves to our younger guys. And then there in turn, our younger guys, hopefully we'll do the same thing when they're older.
Now I loved what you said about keeping people busy, right?
Yep.
An idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Right.
And a
Right.
college kid definitely has the opportunity to do a whole lot of things. So staying busy, having that mentorship, that leadership, having some people there, that's a really important thing. Coach, this has been a lot of fun. I'm going to give you an opportunity to just kind of do to brag a little bit about. I mean, your alma mater, the school that you've been
Sure.
at so long. I mean, it's going to be pretty easy for you to brag on it. But about the program and the university, you did a little bit at the beginning of the time. But why should somebody take a look at Lock Haven and put that on a preferred school list as they're making their decision?
I think that it gives young men and women to come in and have an opportunity to be in a classroom setting, in a college setting with our professors that all, predominantly, I'd say 3/4 of them have PhD. So, and come in and have an opportunity to be able to speak with them. I mean, first and foremost, like we're here to get an
Yeah.
education. And I think that the biggest thing is that you can do that in a smaller setting where you're not, there's not, Penn State right up the road, like there might be 4,000 students in a lecture hall. We're here, it's, average class size is, 32 students. Gives you that opportunity to get that one-on-one time, and the professors have office hours where you can actually speak with someone. And I think if that's the, the school setting that you would want, I think Lock Haven would be a great opportunity for you. Plus it's, the campus itself, it's not crazy big, but it's you can walk to most of your classes. We're set in the Susquehanna River Valley. It's the Chesapeake Basin. It empties down around Baltimore, but it's a beautiful setting with the mountainous views. A lot of outdoor activities that we have here: kayaking, mountain biking, a lot of those outdoor activities. The town itself is approximately 10,000 people. We have small shops down there, bars, restaurants, everything right here that's in walking distance with the school. So it gives you that opportunity. The alumni are great. We've turned out alumni everywhere. And they come back on our, alumni weekends and homecomings and things like that. And it's a tight knit family when you go to Lock Haven. You're a Bald Eagle. But it's a great opportunity for you to get an education, opportunity to have a lot of friends, but not, it's big enough where you don't know everybody.
Right.
So we're kind of our own little community in itself.
That's awesome.
And we're right in between, we're right in between Williamsport, Little League World Series, and Penn State. Approximately, 35, 40 miles to our west is Penn State College, and 20 miles to our east is Williamsport. It's a pretty neat setting. Of course, on late August, you got the Little League World Series going on. You'll see the blimp go from Williamsport right by Lock Haven to State College if they're playing somebody big, like Nebraska,
awesome.
or they got a big game early in the season. It's pretty cool to see. And they're both on like ABC. It's nuts, but
That's great.
For the little town and little community that we're in. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
That sounds great. I actually lived in Pittsburgh for a number of years, and the whole area is just you across the whole state of Pennsylvania is just a great state, and
It is.
I don't know if people realize how outdoors it is. Most people around the PA, and maybe that's more Western PA and Central PA, obviously. But it is truly an outdoors mecca. It's a place where, I mean,
It
hunting,
is.
fishing, hiking,
Sure.
just so many great things. So
Yeah. It is definitely. We're right in the middle of it, honestly. I mean, you have Philadelphia in the east, okay, city. You got Pittsburgh in the west, Harrisburg, the south central part of the state. But then, honestly, everything else, it's It's like it's the woods and the you hunt and fish and all those things and outdoor things going on. Like it's a beautiful state. You got the Poconos to the
Yep.
east.
Yep.
The Allegheny Mountain chain comes through here to Pittsburgh. Beautiful setting.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. Coach, been a lot of fun. Thank you for your time. Excited to watch your program. What do you think this year? Going to be a good one?
I think so. I think, maturity goes a long way. Having the older guys in your program always helps. So I definitely do. I think that it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be exciting to watch us play.
I haven't met you before, but your excitement now, I don't know if that's like every year or if it's just because you're going to have a good year, but you've got an excitement that's kind of contagious. I'm all excited about Lock Haven now.
I appreciate it, Eric. Honestly, and thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it. This was fun.
Well, good. Hey, thank you. And if there's anything else that we can do for you, let me know. But it's been an honor. I'll get this out there on social media, and if you can share it with your followers, maybe some of your players, and maybe they can jab you a bit on your podcast. But you knocked it out. You knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, they will. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Take care. Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye.